probably missed a Pro Bowl assignment as a result. So, and they can't really cut either one of them if they would like to, because they're $2.1 million each against the cap would count right now against the cap if they cut both of those players. Garrison Hurst, they've tendered an offer to him for $2 million. His $565,000 signing bonus, if they got rid of him, would count against this year's cap. They've got a real problem with 3 of those veteran players, and they pick players that will fill into those spots. Decision time for Arizona as well for the draft as well as for free agency. Let's go to Mike Tirico in New York.
Okay, Sal, thank you. You saw Arizona flashing on the screen. Let me update that. Minnesota traded for that pick. They flip-flopped 4th-round draft picks, and a 5th-round selection will also be coming to Arizona. You see the trade also involving some significant players, and Randall Cunningham involved in this trade. No, that's not accurate. I say, wait a minute, how can Randall Cunningham be traded to Arizona? We had rumors of him going to the Cardinals as a free agent, but obviously he was not traded. The trade was a 4 and a 5 going from Minnesota to Arizona, and the Cardinals will slide down in this 4th round. So the Vikings are the team that selected Hunter Goodwin, the offensive lineman from Texas A&M. There are some great players that have been taken in the 4th round. Stick with us, find out who they'll be in the future.
It's the only one out there. And here it comes. Introducing the only compact pickup to offer a 3rd door. Okay, folks, show's over. Chevy S-Series, like a rock.
We'll never get the copier fixed before the meeting.
It's handled.
If your office equipment ever breaks down, no matter where you are in the business world, remember, nobody responds like Danka. Only Danka offers copiers, fax machines, and digital systems with this world-class commitment to service.
How'd you get here so fast?
I took a few shortcuts.
Danka, world-class products, world-class service.
McDonald's invites you to play the Disney Trivia Challenge. Test your knowledge of Disney Masterpiece Collection videos and win one of 300 million prizes. I won! Come play today at McDonald's. Look who's winning at McDonald's. Jerry Kenny won $100,000. Susie Howard won free Happy Meals for a year. Come play the Disney Video Masterpiece Collection Trivia Challenge today at McDonald's. You could be next.
28, Baker Bruce!
It takes more than a great player. It takes a great man to open a center for the treatment of cystic fibrosis. Congratulations, Boomer Esiason, True Value NFL Man of the Year. You've been a big help.
Welcome back to New York as day 2 of the NFL draft is 2 picks in. The Miami Dolphins are the team on the clock with the 98th overall selection, the 3rd selection here in round 4. Let's get you straightened out now on what happened with the 2nd pick in the draft. A flip-flop. Arizona gets the 4 and 5, and Minnesota ends up getting the 4 pick. There will be a lot of trades involving the picks today, and as you may have just heard, Miami has just made a trade involving their selection. Let's bring in Chris Fowler and company back in our ESPN studios. Chris.
Mike, thank you. 2 picks so far. Mike Lombardi, 2 offensive linemen. I would second what folks have said about Jason Odom. Definitely not soft. Looks like such a nice guy, nice round face, but he's a tough player. As for Hunter Goodwin, what do you know about him, the Texas A&M lineman that Minnesota just took?
Well, he's a unique player. He went to Texas A&I, played tight end at Texas A&I, then he transferred to Texas A&M and started for him at tackle. He plays left and right tackle. He played in the Senior Bowl and played guard. He's a very athletic player. He'll give Minnesota a lot of dimensions along the line. He could play anywhere along the line for them. Potentially, they might be able to make him a center because he's athletic enough to do that.
But if there is a rap on him in the scouts book, it's that he's soft. Now, that sounds like a real stinging indictment of a player. Soft, what do you mean by that?
Well, when people talk about being soft, necessarily, they're not indicting him as his personality. What they're saying is he can't play with leverage and power all the time. And in football, it's very important to play with power and leverage because the pocket can't get collapsed. The quarterback needs to be able to step up and throw the ball, and you can't have people being pushed into the pocket.
Soft doesn't mean he's a coward or he's timid or anything. All right, let's get down to Miami and Chris Mortensen. Mort?
Well, we understand that the Dolphins just passed on their draft pick, although it's been a very animated war room with Jimmy Johnson earlier on the phone, talking obviously to teams. There was a chance that Jason Odoms was one of their guys that they wanted, but of course he went first. There's Jimmy on the phone. To his right is Bob Ackles, his former right-hand man with the Cowboys and then Philadelphia. Tom Bratz, personnel man, to his left. Jimmy obviously has something cooking here, and whether it's a trade or whether it's just waiting until he sees the player he wants on the board, we'll have to wait and see on that one. But Jimmy, clearly, this is the day Jimmy Johnson expects to pick up a lot of players who contribute. All right, let's go back to New York.
Okay, Mort, thank you. And the trade with Kansas City has gone through, and the pick has been made by the Chiefs at number 98 overall. They've taken Donnie Edwards, linebacker out of UCLA. We saw a UCLA player go early day one. We do here in day two, Mel.
Say Donnie Edwards had a real good junior year. Then he had that compression fracture of a vertebrae in his back, and of course that sidelined him his senior year. I thought he was a little too much finesse. You saw him coming off the corner. He showed some pass rush ability, but he's not that big. And of course against the run is going to be the question about Donnie Edwards. Of course we all know the Carl Peterson and the connection with UCLA, but you see a guy here, if he can run and cover, and this is of course against Ernie Conwell in Washington, and make the play, that's what he's going to have to do, is round off his game. He was basically an attacker off the corner. He's going to also have to show that he can play strong at the point. So there are some questions physically about a Donnie Edwards, whether he can come in, of course, after what was viewed as a down senior year.
So he is now a Kansas City Chief, and Sterling, this is 4 picks for Kansas City, 4 defensive players.
I don't know if they really needed defensive players, but I mean, they didn't really need anyone, as we talked about in our meetings a couple of days ago. They're one of the teams that can go out and do just about anything they want. And I think it was a good pick for them. I mean, Jerome Woods, solid from what Mel tells me. I don't know much about these guys, but Mel, I'm riding Mel's help on this. But yeah, I think they did a very good job. I mean, Derek Thomas and Neil Smith, they're real defensive players. Are going to have big years for them, and they just need some backup guys.
Kansas City ranked 2nd in defense in the National Football League last year, and they are adding to that defense. If you believe defense wins championships, they're continuing to build. Carl Peterson, one of many NFL people who've built great organizations, and a lot of people do it with late-round drafting success.
If you can get players in the low rounds that you can have on the field making a contribution in a year in special teams, and maybe after that competing for a backup or a starting position, and you're ahead. But if in the old days, I know that you could go out and get a player and say, well, he's going to be ready, but it'll probably be 3 or 4 years. I don't think you don't have the luxury to do that anymore.
That in the past, the 49ers have done quite well with our later round picks. And if I might just very casually refer to Elvis Gerbach and Lee Woodall and Merton Hanks and several other people that are on our team at this point in time who were below the 3rd round or 4th round when they were selected, I would be saying to you that we don't view the later rounds in the draft as a waste of time and effort.
And for example, here are some all-time steals from round 4. Joe Theismann, Tom Jackson.
He went that high?
Both selected in the 4th round, as well as Stallworth and Harry Carson, the Giants. And this is when the draft was a lot longer, more than 12 rounds if you go back into the 70s. And some more modern day, and I don't mean to insult Joe and Tommy by saying that, 4th round steals Andre Reed. And we saw a 2nd player from Kutztown yesterday. And Chris Warren, the running back from Seattle, and Edgar Bennett, a guy you're very familiar with from Green Bay.
And I think what's interesting, Mike, is all these guys fit into their systems very well. And I think the scouting departments and the teams did a very good job of drafting these players that fit what they want them to do.
So we'll be watching for names like that in round 4 of the NFL draft. On the clock right now, the Jacksonville Jaguars will update their pick. They may be trading it as we continue from New York on day 2.
In April, pay-per-view has all the hits you want when you want to see them. With pay-per-view, the hits come right into your home, hassle-free instantly. It's the easy way to treat friends and family to first-run fun. And everyone watches for one low price, making pay-per-view one of the best entertainment values around. Just pick the showing you want to see and follow the simple pay-per-view ordering instructions. Before you know it, you'll be enjoying the movie of your choice in the comfort of your home. How easy can it get? Big hits, small price. Pay-per-view it in April.
Do you question confusing car ads that tout deep discounts, triple rebates, no sales tax, only to find out they're not real? Just the other day, Chrysler Corporation advised me that our dealership had the greatest sales percentage increase of any dealership in Phoenix. And I'm proud to say we do it without misleading the public with our advertising. That's Darner, Chrysler Plymouth Jeep on Main Street at Mesa since 1939 between